Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ed Flynn. I am the City Council President. Viewers can watch the City Council meeting live on YouTube by visiting boston.gov/citycouncil-tv. I'd like to ask my colleagues and those in the audience to please silence your cell phones, electronic devices. Thank you. Please also be respectful and do not disrupt the meeting while you are here. If you are disruptive, you'll be asked to leave. If you fail to comply, you'll be escorted out. Please also note that according to City Council rules, there are no signs allowed in the chamber. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll to ascertain the presence of a quorum?
Councilor Arroyo.
Present.
Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Bach. Councilor Braden.
Here.
Councilor Coletta. Councilor Fernandez Anderson.
Here.
Councilor Flaherty.
Yes. Yeah.
Councilor Flynn.
Here.
Councilor Lara.
Here.
Councilor Lujan.
Here.
Councilor Mejia. Councilor Murphy.
Here.
And Councilor Worrell. A quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this time, I would like to invite City Councilor Baker to the podium to present and introduce our clergy for today. Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everybody. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Joshua De La Rosa, who was born and raised in the Grove Hall neighborhood of Dorchester, and after a troubled childhood at the age of 16, he became a born-again Christian. Joshua was a high school dropout, and at the age of 18, he obtained his GED and joined the Boston Police Cadet Program. Studied systematic theology and urban ministry under Bishop Byron Hogan of Good Shepherd. He served as a youth pastor in 2 Spanish-speaking churches in Boston, and Joshua has also spoken around the country providing outreach strategies on how to engage individuals that are battling with active addiction. He starred in an independent documentary film called Tipping the Pain Scale by award-winning producer Greg Williams from the Anonymous People. As a police officer, Joshua has served in the Street Outreach Unit. I believe he said he was the first person in the Street Outreach Unit, working with individuals that suffered from homelessness, mental health disorders, and substance abuse disorders. He is now assigned to E13 station in Jamaica Plain neighborhood, serving the elderly, homeless, and children in the youth with programs. Joshua currently has an associate's degree in criminal justice out of Quincy College and is 4 classes away from wrapping up his bachelor's in an interdisciplinary studies of religion and government out of Liberty University. He's currently a senior pastor at a bilingual charismatic church named Kohanim Ministries in Dorchester. And the best part of it all is he's married for 10 years to an amazing wife, has a handsome boy and 3 beautiful, beautiful girls. And with that, I give you Joshua De La Rosa.
God bless everyone. Thank you for having me here. This is a huge privilege for me. I'm deeply honored. I don't feel worthy to even be here before so many great people. I think it takes a special person to do the job you guys do, to serve, take a job in working for the interests of others, and I know that this is a huge privilege for me to even stand before you. Thank you for receiving me in this moment. Thank you, Councilor Frank Baker. This is huge. I want to read a scripture, and then I want to do the prayer. The reading of the word is going to be found in the book of Numbers, one of the books of Moses. It's chapter 6, verse 24. And I pray this, and I read this for you guys. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. If we could all just bow our heads and let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you, understanding and recognizing that you are the Most High God, the Supreme Being, the Creator of heaven and earth. Father, your word says in Psalms 127, verse 1, that unless the Lord watches over this city, the watchmen stand guard in vain. Therefore, I come before you under the name that authorizes me to do so, the name of Jesus Christ. Dear Heavenly Father, for the purposes of praying for every single person in this room, Father, I understand that these people have authority that's delegated by you and a responsibility to serve the residents of the city of Boston. Heavenly Father, there are differences of opinions in this room. There are different ideologies, there's different worldviews, and there's different cultural upbringings. Father, but don't let that be a hindrance for us to do your will and for us to better serve the people that are under our covering. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray for the unity, the love, the respect for each other. Father, if there's any disagreement, may that never be interpreted as hate. I pray against hatred. I pray against disunity. I pray against any stubbornness, any idolizing of opinion, any mindset that worries on who gets the credit. Father, let you receive the credit. Let you receive the glory and honor and praise for everything, Heavenly Father. Father, I pray for the increases of the finances. I pray that you as a provider, you're able to give us resources that we can cater to every single class or particular or groups in our society. Father, I pray for the elderly. Father, I pray that no elderly person has to die alone. They gave so much input in this life for them to be alone in nursing homes. I pray that the resources that we have in our city can cater to them. I pray for our youth, Heavenly Father. I pray for more programs. I pray that no parent has to bury another 13-year-old. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray that in Jesus' name. Father, I also pray for the homeless community. I pray for the immigrant community. Father, those that are fleeing from their countries and they land on our streets. Father, if we were in their positions, we would also do the same thing. I pray that we have sufficient resources to be able to cater to these people, to be able to help out these people that seek asylum. Father, I pray for the children. They are not the future, they are the present. I pray that we help them out in whatever capacity that we can. And last, I pray for the helper. I pray that you help the helper. I pray for all our city employees, Heavenly Father, that you may give them the rest in their mental health. I pray that you bring healing to their mental health. I pray for their marriages. I pray for their families. I pray for their children, Heavenly Father. Help out our city employees. Bless them. Watch over them. And I pray for every single person in our city local government, starting off with Mayor Michelle Wu and our city council president Ed Flynn and our city councilors at large, Michael Flaherty, Ruthie Louis June, Julia Mejia, Aaron Murphy. Father, I lift up these names. I lift up the city councilors. I lift up Gabriela Coletta. I lift up Frank Baker. I lift up Ricardo Arroyo. I lift up Brian Worrell. I lift up, Heavenly Father, Kendra Lara. I lift up right now Tanya Fernandez Anderson, Kenzie Bach, and Liz Bradeen. In the name of Jesus, bless them and cover them. Continue to utilize them to better serve our community. We pray that under the name that is above all names, the name of Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, could you please let the record be reflected that Councilor Bach is present? We're on to the first order of business, which is the approval of the minutes. Seeing and hearing no discussion on the matter, the chair moves to approve the minutes from the last meeting. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting, say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Thank you. The minutes of the last meeting stand as approved. Communication from Her Honor, the Mayor. Mr. Clerk, can you please read docket 0369?
Docket number 0369, message in order for your approval and acceptance of Chapter 269 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to the cost of living adjustments for retirees.
Thank you. This docket 0369 will be referred to the Committee on Government Operations. Mr. Clerk, can you please read docket 037 to 0373?
Docket number 0370, message in order for your approval in order to reduce fiscal year 23 appropriation for the reserve for collective bargaining by $1,079,770 to provide funding for the Boston Public Schools for the fiscal year 23 increases contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston Public Schools and the United Steelworkers Local 2936 bus monitors. Docket number 0371, message in order for the supplemental appropriation order for the Boston Public School Department for fiscal year 23 in the amount of $1,079,770 to cover the fiscal year 23 costs contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston Public Schools and the United Steelworkers Local 2936 bus monitors. The terms of the contract are July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2025. A base wage increases of 1.5% in September 2021 and rate adjustments in September 2022, and then a base wage of 2% to be given in September 2023 and September 2024. Docket number 0372, message in order for your approval in order to reduce fiscal year 23 appropriation for the reserve for collective bargaining by $703,939 to provide funding for the Boston Public Schools for the fiscal year 23 increases contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston Public and the Administrative Guild, SEIU Local 888. Docket number 0373. Message in order for a supplemental appropriation order for the Boston Public School Department for fiscal year 23 in the amount of $703,939 to cover the fiscal year 23 cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston Public Schools and the Administrative Guild, SEIU Local 888. The terms of the contract are September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2024. The major provisions of the contracts include base wage increases of 2%, 2.5%, 2.5%, and 2.5% to be given in September of each fiscal year of the contract term.
Thank you. These dockets 0370 to 0373 will be referred to the Committee on City Services, Innovation, Technology. Reports of public officers and others. Mr. Clerk, can you please read dockets 0374 to 0376 together?
Docket number 0374, notice was received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979, relative to action taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of January 25th, 2023. Docket number 0375. Notice was received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979, relative to action taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of February 1st, 2023. And docket number 0376, communication was received from the city clerk transmitting a communication from the Boston Landmarks Commission for a city council action on the designation of Tremont Temple, downtown Boston, Mass. As a landmark, in effect after February 22nd, 2023, if not acted upon.
Thank you. One 76. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. On docket 0374, 0375, and 037... Yeah, docket 0374, docket 0375 will be placed on file. Docket 0376 will be placed in the Planning and Development Transportation Committee. Matters recently heard for possible action. Mr. Clerk, can you please read docket 0100, please?
Docket number 0100, message in order for your approval, an ordinance establishing the Office of Participatory Budgeting, amending the City of Boston Code, Chapter 5, with the insertion of a new Section 5-1.11, filed in the City Clerk's office on December 12, 2022.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Council Arroyo, Chair of the Committee on Government Operations. Council Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm a little under the weather, so bear with me as I work through this. The Committee on Government Operations held a hearing on Monday, January 30th, and a working session yesterday, February 7th, on docket 0100, the message in order for our approval on an ordinance establishing the Office of Participatory Budgeting, amending the City of Boston Code, Chapter 5, which was sponsored by Mayor Wu. I'd like to thank my council colleagues for attending yesterday's working session, Council President Flynn, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Murphy, Councilor Bach, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Lara, Councilor Braden, and Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. Also to Councilor Coletta for sending her amendments to the committee, even though she could not attend yesterday's session, and to Councilor Louis Jen for sending in her thoughts as well. I'd like to thank members of the administration for attending, Ashley Grafenberger, Chief Financial Officer of the City of Boston, and Claire Kelly, Director of Intergovernmental Relations. I'd also like to thank the advocates for attending, Eliza Parad, Director of Municipal Democracy of the Center for Economic Democracy, Cristania De Leon, the Co-Executive Director of the Participatory Budgeting Project, and Mallory Hanara, the Executive Director of Families for Justice is Healing, and Aaron Tanaka, the Director of the Center for Economic Democracy. This ordinance will establish the Office of Participatory Budgeting, which will include a director, an external oversight board made up of residents and leaders from across the city. The office, in partnership with the External Oversight Board, will establish and manage a participatory budgeting process for residents to engage with the city's annual budget process and make recommendations for projects to include in the budget. During the working session, the committee was provided specific language suggestions, which included adding a new section for definitions, which clearly defines community stakeholders and key processes during the participatory process, as well as language in both the purpose and powers and duties section, which emboldens the ordinance's commitment to maximize Boston resident and community involvement in the participatory budgeting process. The committee also made recommendations to increase the External Oversight Board here in your final version to 11 from 9. And so the size of the board that we are proposing here is 11, which is 2 additional seats, where the mayor will appoint 5 individuals from a publicly solicited group of applicants, and then an additional 6 individuals from a pool of up to 26 applicants provided by this Boston City Council. Importantly, this ordinance now reflects a compensation of board members. It specifically reads, the members of the board shall receive stipends as determined by the mayor, commensurate with their duties, and shall be entitled to his or her reasonable expenses actually and necessarily incurred in the performance of their duties as board members as defined by the rule book. These expenditures shall be paid from the budget of the Office of the Participatory Budget. The goal here, every edit and referendum and sort of amendment that was provided was run by our legal team. Not all of the edits or suggested amendments made it into this list. Some of them were tweaked, whether it was in language or in scope. The reasoning behind nearly every single one of those edits and or tweaks was legal. In sense, there was some conversation around a set-aside percentage of the budget for the participatory budget to know every year going in they would have a specific percentage of the budget set aside that they would then organize and disperse themselves. That technically is not legal for us to do. That's an appropriation, and so there is no set-aside amount here that's going to be determined by the mayor on a yearly basis as the mayor has final appropriations. The compensation, the original draft did not include compensation in any form. This allows compensation. In fact, it says that there shall be compensation, but that compensation shall be determined by the mayor and should be commensurate with the work and the abilities and what's done on this board, I think at this stage, to ask people to do the kind of work that we're asking them to do in this committee without compensation would be unjust. And so this provides a path to compensation, but allows the mayor and the administration to make a determination as to what that should be. In terms of the board size, I think 11 from 9 gives us a better chance of reflecting the diversity of the pool of community members and advocates that we want in the participatory budget process. And I would just add that as this goes, this is the first crack at this. As this goes forward, if we make a determination that this would work better with more people, it's always within our powers to try to amend this through an ordinance in the future to take note of the ways in which this has run the first time through and where we can improve and build upon this model. This was something that was voted upon, that we've had a lot of work has gone into this from advocates from the city side, from advocates in our communities. I think this is a good thing. I will be asking that this go for a vote and that it pass in its new draft. Thank you, Mr. President, for the indulgence of the time to sort of speak to the edits in this and the changes in this. There were some edits that you would see, as I said yesterday when we were going through the working session, not everything that you saw on that screen made it into this document. And most of those things that did not make it into this document did not make it into this document because they were flagged as possibly illegal language or things that would tie the mayor to things that we're not able to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Royal. Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? No one wants to speak on this matter? The chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank the chair. I know that we're in a little bit of a time crunch because of the existing thing that's filed by the mayor being a 60-day order, so that if we don't take action, it goes into effect on Friday. For me, I think I said this at one point in one of the hearings, but for me, it's sort of like participatory budgeting is something we've been talking about for a while now, and it was actually, approved by the voters in November of 21, and so now that we're in February of 23, I think like the real work ahead is kind of getting into what the document describes as the rule book and really like starting to institute a process, hire staff, like figure this out, and there will be a trial and error dynamic to it. So I think that there's a lot of ways in which the legislation that we're voting on today really just like sets some pretty rough parameters for a process that's going to be worked out in partnership with community over the coming months. And I think that that's kind of the appropriate order of operations here. But the main thing for me is that we actually like get to the work of this because it's something that folks are excited about and the people of Boston voted for. So I'll be voting in support today and want to thank the chair.
Thank you, Councilor Bach. The chair recognizes Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker.
Thank you,
have the
Mr.
floor.
President. I will be a no today. I was a no at the ballot. I was a no when this was on the floor here. This is something that I think waters down our power on the city council. The budget is one of our charges to get into. I think if the advocates want at the budget table, they should put their name on the ballot and run. That's how you should do it. This started as 1% of the city budget, which would be around $3 million. Cut into 13 would be about 225 each. I would be on board if that were coming into the city council's office, and then we could run our own budget process. This is like a civic exercise we're trying to do here with the public. These are the finances of the city of Boston. I'm a taxpayer. I've been a taxpayer in the city of Boston, homeowner since I've been in my 20s. I don't think that we should have people without the experience, that don't know the city departments, that don't know what we do, having a say on what our budget is. Their say is in advocacy in our offices. They call us and tell us what their budget asks are. The power should stay with us. I'm a no on that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. The chair recognizes Councilor Murphy. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. I'm a no today because I do feel like we're rushing this. There's too many moving parts still. I was at the working session yesterday and felt that we had more questions than not. And to get a committee report at 12:20 on the same day we're expected to vote on it. I don't feel comfortable with it, so I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Murphy. The chair recognizes Council Louis-Jean. Council Louis-Jean, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to first start off by saying that I'll be voting in support of this today. Part of the reason is because the way that it was filed, we have a short time period, and so if we do not make edits to this, it will go into effect as filed. And so I think it is important for us to have imprint of the City Council on what this Office of Participatory Budgeting looks like. The voters voted overwhelmingly for it, I think, as Councilor Block stated. And as Councilor Block stated, there is going to be a trial and error process. But I think it's important for us to really expand what we believe and what we think about when we are thinking about who has a say in what our budget looks like. So I'm excited for the possibility with the Office of Participatory Budgeting and what it will mean to bring community into these spaces to really help us make these decisions about how we're allocating city funds. You know, a disappointment is that we're not able to actually allocate a set amount that's tied to the budget, so I look forward to more conversations where we can actually do that. But I think it's really, you know, last year we had these budget listening sessions. What great opportunity it's going to be to not just have budget listening sessions, but to have budget input sessions where people can actually directly say, this is what I want in the budget, this is what I haven't experienced. And for too long, the budget conversations have only been limited to City Hall, only to the 8th floor, and I think it's time for us to bring City Hall out of City Hall by actually asking people and having them have a direct say. So I'll be voting in favor of this. It's not perfect, and I know there's a lot more work to do, but community advocates have already done a lot of work. Senator Edwards, who's a big proponent of this, has done a lot of work in getting us to this point. So I'm excited to continue working with my colleagues to really get this out there. Thank you.
President Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council Braden. First, I want to acknowledge the important work Councilor Arroyo did during this period of time in our colleagues, including yesterday. We had a pretty engaged, informative meeting. So I want to acknowledge him and his leadership. And I know there was a lot of compromise as well that took place from that meeting into today. In theory, I support the concept of a participatory budget, but I do have some reservations on certain aspects. Some of them were discussed already, but as we continue to move from our recovery from a 3-year pandemic and these uncertain economic times, now might not be the time to experiment with taxpayer money on a proposal with many unanswered questions. And I mention that because and again, I want to acknowledge the important work of Council Royal, but I received this report a few minutes ago, and I haven't had the chance to read it. I don't vote on documents in support of a document unless I study it and ask other people their opinion about it. So I'm not comfortable doing that at this time. I know the important role residents in the community plays, civic organizations played during the budget process, including activists that were engaged on this issue. Over the last 5 years on the council, at each budget session, I have actively engaged with residents and civic organizations throughout District 2 and advocated for their request at our hearings and with the mayor's office as well. To some of the organizations that I've worked with, Fort Point Neighborhood Association, Tenants at West Broadway Development, City Point Neighborhood Association, Chinatown Residents Association, Villa Victoria, 8th Street, St. Petolf, dozens more. They reach out to me and I reach out to them and have budget meetings, whether they're in Zoom or in person. I listen to their concerns and I advocate for them. Again, this proposal that is before us now, there has been a lot of compromise done. I acknowledge that, and the compromise makes this a better proposal. But I just can't vote on a document if I don't read the document. Again, I received this a few minutes before I was about to, after I spoke, so I need to review it. Unless we're able to put it off for next week, I don't feel comfortable. I don't know if my colleagues are comfortable also voting on something that we haven't read. But thank you, Council Braden.
Thank you, President Flynn.
Anyone else like to speak on this matter? The chair recognizes Council Lara and then Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Council Lara, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Flynn. I didn't anticipate speaking on this ordinance today, but I think it's important, given the remarks that I've heard from my colleagues and kind of like the hesitations that we're getting to right now. Participatory budgeting is not some new experimental form of government process. It's something that has not only been implemented in multiple cities across the country, but has been incredibly, incredibly successful, not just as a civic engagement exercise, but a way to really nurture a more direct democracy. Now, the people of the city of Boston, just like they elected us to represent them, have given us a directive through the ballot to move this forward. I understand that participatory budgeting for a lot of people might seem far-fetched, and it might be really difficult to grasp why would we be taking city resources and giving power to the people who are also homeowners and taxpayers whose money it is to make decisions about where that money should go. But the reality is that what the people of the city of Boston are showing us is that they are much more innovative. They are much more imaginative, and that they can envision a world where we have a stronger democracy in our city, where the people get to not only elect us, but they also get to make decisions about where their tax dollars go. And so they are giving us this incredible vision. They are showing us the examples. They are telling us exactly where we need to go and how we need to get there. And as elected officials, we have a responsibility to listen to them. Now, we can say, hey, we haven't got a chance to read it. But the reality is that most of us were there at the working session yesterday. I read the document 3 times while Councilor Arroyo was giving his remarks, looking for a specific edit that I made to make sure that it was included in there so that I would be prepared to vote in favor of this today. We all have the right and the ability to vote as we choose when it comes to ordinances that are set before us. But we also have a responsibility to listen to the people of the city of Boston, and we have a responsibility to be truthful about what it is that we're doing here. This is not some civic experiment. This is not some throwaway of city resources. And just like everybody here is a taxpayer in the city of Boston, all of the people who overwhelmingly voted to make sure that this happened are also taxpayers and people who have a right to say what happens with the money that they're putting into the city of Boston. And so they've spoken, and as elected officials, those are the people who we should be listening to. And so I am urging my colleagues to vote in favor of this ordinance today so that we can let the will of the voter be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lara. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't want to belabor this too much, but it's such an important ordinance process, and so much work has been done. I want to acknowledge Councilor Bach, our colleague, Senator Lydia Edwards, as well as Councilor Julio Mejia, who has worked on this now going on a couple of years, with the efforts, of course, and the courageous efforts from the advocates and community and volunteers, the campaign that it took, and all of the hard work, sweat and tears that it took behind this effort. I mean, what exactly are we talking about here? And then when I stand up, we get sort of, it follows by prayers of unity and how we disagree and, come together. Everybody needs to come together. It's not as contentious as that. It's just that we disagree on policies, and some of us will get up and talk, very honestly about what that represents. In terms of the budget process, so in terms of PB office, we basically got together, and I thought that Mr. Chair, Councilor Arroyo did a wonderful job with the process. And I understand that Mr. Chair, you felt like it was a little rushed. And I also think that sometimes it's because, we're inundated with work and we don't have time to maybe read through all the documents that we're being sent and following up. So I believe that the advocates in the community put together a list of things. We asked for 18, and I want to go on record because this is super important. We asked for 18, actually more than 18 people members to sit on this board. And then we asked for, or the commission or the task force, we asked for specifically that they be compensated. Then we talked to the administration and finance, and we said, hey, do you think that poor Black and brown people should be paid? Do you think that formerly incarcerated people that has been disenfranchised or systemically oppressed should be paid, compensated for these efforts? Do you think that the disability community or the people that are most vulnerable in our society that should be involved in the say of the budget, do you think that they should be respected and they should be compensated? And then the administration responded, yeah, of course. We don't disagree that they should be compensated. Then we compared it with other boards. We compared it with CBA that gets paid, I think it's like $1,000 a month. We compared it to the OPAT, Office of, somebody help me here. Police Accountability. And they get paid $100 an hour, but with limitations to how much they get paid per year, right? And so then we compared the numbers of members. There was no research or no argument from the administration actually debunking our argument. We were saying, look, the community needs these numbers, and now they reduced it to 9 members. And then we said, well, 9 per district, 1 person per 75 to 77 people, 77,000 people. That's not fair. That sounds inequitable. That's not right. And then we said, okay, well, how about 15? And I asked for that amendment, and that didn't happen. Now they're reducing it to 11. So even in language, in terms of the 1% that we're asking it to be discretionary toward the PB office, that's also being compromised here. So we're asking the administration that our mayor, she voted on this and she believes in this. I believe that she believes in this. But in doing this responsibly, I think the administration is trying their best to do it in the way that they can control it so that it doesn't get out of hand, so that it's manageable. We get all that. But there's research, as Councilor Lara just mentioned, there's research to back this up. This is not something that just we're pulling out of a hat. We have best practices. We have research. We understand that this is the way for this city to be transformative, for this city to actually make true change, and to create some real, true, equitable solutions in the city of Boston in the budget. And then you have, people that are just like, oh, we're mismanaging this. This is the city of Boston's budget. Well, yeah, this is the city of Boston's budget, and it's systemically racist, and it doesn't do a lot of good in terms of Black and brown people and working class and poor people. So we should do better. We should be more inclusive. We should do it differently. And I respectfully disagree with some of my colleagues. I respectfully disagree with the administration. And of course, I'm on the side of the advocates. I wish that we could have done better, but that's okay. It's just a conversation today. We'll vote, and it'll go to the original filing, and then we'll file an amendment, and we'll organize again, and we'll keep doing the work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. I'm going to go to Councilor Braden, Councilor Flaherty, and then the last speaker will be Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Mr. President, and I will be voting in support of participatory budgeting today. I'm really fascinated by the videos. I've been looking at it on YouTube, etc. This is not a revolutionary idea. It's happening around the world. It's really democratizing and increasing civic participation in the budgetary process. And also, I'd like to remind our colleagues and those watching that we've been doing it in Boston since participatory budgeting. We've been doing it since 2013. It was $1 million capital budget that will be decided by Youth Lead Boston. And just want to reference some of the things. The project is a youth-led by teenagers from across the City of Boston, supported by trained youth facilitators. Goals include increasing youth power, allowing all voices to be heard, building stronger, safer and healthier communities, and strengthening residents' sense of pride, solidarity and equality throughout the city. Examples of winning projects in 2019 to 2020. Proposals include replacing school heating systems for a more productive learning environment, enhancing shelter and creating comfortable places for those experiencing homelessness, planting trees and plants along main streets and sidewalks to tackle climate change. Previous winning projects include solar panels on city-owned property, youth Wi-Fi lounge in City Hall, performing and visual arts studio, water bottle refill stations and playground upgrades and art walls. This is not a threat to our democracy. It is not a threat to our control over the city, our influence and fiduciary responsibility to oversee the city budget. I think this is enhancing our process. It's bringing more voices to the table, and I think it's making us more effective as legislators. So I will be voting in favour of this today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Braden. The chair recognizes Councillor Flaherty. Councillor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just want to assure folks that are here and folks that are watching at home is that participatory budgeting passed at the ballot box, and participatory budgeting will be implemented here with respect to the city's budget. It's just a matter of which version do you want? Do you want the council's amended version, or do you want Mayor Wu's version that has come over? So it's a simple question of how do you like your eggs? Do you like them over easy or do you like them over medium? But for those that are watching at home, we will have participatory budgeting taking place. And as I referenced at the working session, and more probably my law school training, particularly on cases of first impression, my experience here on the council with respect to new ordinances and implementing new ordinances is that to keep it simple. And then as our colleague, Councillor Fernandez-Anderson alluded to at the end of her comments, is that, and then as you move forward, you make the necessary adjustments and tweaks and changes as, as we as elected representatives and a representative government see fit to make sure that it works best. But in order to sort of get started, to sort of get this up and running, it always makes sense to keep it simple. And I'll be supporting, obviously, Mayor Wu's proposal that's before us. And again, a yes vote is you support it as amended. A no vote means that you're not supporting the amendments, but you ultimately obviously are. We'll also be supportive of participatory budgeting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. The chair recognizes Councillor Royal. Councillor Royal, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to add a couple small things on timeline. For folks of the public who don't understand sort of the timeline that we're under, this was filed under a 60-day order by the mayor's administration, December 14th, which was our last city council meeting, which meant that from December 14th until about January 11th, we were out of session. In January, we held the hearing on this. We've held the working session on this. The ordinance itself is 6 pages long. 1 page is entirely definitions to make clear what the language within it is. So it amounts to about 5 pages of actual ordinance, about 1 page of definitions. The amendments themselves maybe amount to, in those 5 pages, maybe a little bit less than a full page, not including those definitions. Then it drops substantially. Then we're talking about sentences. The major compromises here are really on the size of the External Oversight Board. Councillor Flaherty is entirely correct. If we did not vote on this today, if we did not take action on this amended version today, then the council would really have no voice in this process. It would simply have just been the administration's proposal from December 14th taking effect on Friday. This allows the council to add their assessments, to bring the voices of their constituencies into this conversation and to work on that document as it was presented. Many of our council colleagues, some of them who are not here today, some who are now in the Senate, have been working on these issues for years. And so there's a number of sort of give and takes that happened even before it got to the mayor's desk in this form, in the form that she presented to us. The 2 major pieces here, almost all of the language that has been added has just made the inclusivity and the access to this board and from that board to the community larger, in my opinion, and better, in my opinion. The 2 places where there have been changes that I think we could say are substantive is the size of the external board went from 9 under the mayor's proposal to 11 in this proposal. We added 2 seats. As Councilor Fernandez-Anderson has made clear, that's a significant compromise. I think originally, prior to the mayor presenting hers, community advocates were seeking over 20 seats. They went down to, at the beginning of this process, 18. Yesterday, it was 15. We're now at 11. There's been significant compromise on the size of that board. The second piece was the mayor's proposal does not allow, it allows for the reimbursement of expenses incurred, but the language itself does not allow for compensation of members serving on this board. The advocates were seeking somewhere around $1,000 a month, with language in there tying that to 3/4 participation in all committee meetings, all of the things that were required by this board. My personal stance on this, I support compensation. That is why compensation language is in here. It allows the mayor to determine what the amount of that compensation is, but it does say they shall be compensated. And the reason for that is, as Chair Flynn, President Flynn requested, there's a focus here on making sure that folks are coming from BHA housing, or coming from underserved, underprivileged communities, or coming from different backgrounds, places where if you are taking 20, 30 hours a week or 100 hours a month to do this kind of work, you don't have the privilege of doing that work for free. And so to give them some stipend seems fair and just and equitable, and I think it's appropriate to allow the mayor to make a determination of what that should be, but I do believe that there should be some compensation for that labor that we are asking people to undergo. And so that language change is significant. It is in there. There's language changing it from no compensation to compensation at the discretion of the mayor, but there shall be compensation. Simply the amount is at the discretion of the mayor. And there's language increasing the size of the board. Everything else that has been amended essentially amounts to the definitions of clarifying terms and language regarding inclusivity. For instance, the BHA resident request, making sure that there's a focus to ensure that there's a BHA resident on this external oversight board. Those kinds of things that add inclusivity, that add sort of access and intentionality to this document. Those are the kinds of edits we have. It's about 5 pages. If you take the definitions out, 6 with the definitions. And if it takes a recess for folks to be able to read that, then I would suggest we do that. But I think it's well reasoned, and it's a significant compromise, and it does incorporate pieces of what I have heard from almost every counselor and what I've heard directly from the administration. And I want to thank the administration as well for their work on this, that we've been back and forth and back and forth. And so thank you, Chair Flynn. Thank you to my colleagues for the advocacy on this. This is something that was voted on. Councilor Flaherty is entirely correct. This is happening. It's simply a question of, is it happening under the version that the City Council has amended, or is it happening under the version that the mayor has presented? But it is happening. And the changes and the differences, I think, have been sort of said now several times, so I don't think it has to be repeated. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Royal. Councilor Royal seeks acceptance of the committee report in a new draft. In passage of the docket 0100. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay. Doubt the vote.
Mr. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote?
Roll call vote on docket 0100. Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Nay.
Councilor Baker, nay. Councilor Bach.
Aye.
Councilor Bach, aye. Councilor Braden.
Aye.
Councilor Braden, aye. Councilor Coletta. Councilor Fernandez-Anderson.
Yes.
Councilor Fernandez-Anderson, yes. Councilor Flaherty. No. Councilor Flaherty, no. Councilor Flynn.
No.
Councilor Flynn, no. Councilor Lara.
Yes.
Councilor Lara, yes. Councilor Louisiana.
Yes.
Councilor Louisiana, yes. Councilor Mejia. Councilor Murphy.
No.
Councilor Murphy, no. Docket number 0100 has received 6 votes in the affirmative, and based on Rule 28, it does not pass.
Mr. Clerk, can you please read docket 0135?
Docket number 0135, petition for a special law relative to an act to reorganization of the Boston School Committee. Council.
Before we begin, I know there's City of Boston Municipal police officers that are here with us, and there is a matter before us sponsored by Councilor Fernandez Anderson and Councilor Flaherty, but I would like to acknowledge and recognize them waiting patiently. Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Bach at this time.
Mr. President, just a point of inquiry to the clerk. My understanding is that since that, and maybe we should just explain to folks with Rule 28 that it's because the council needs a majority of the body, not of the members present. So, but therefore the committee report failed. So could you just clarify, does that mean the docket remains in committee in government operations? That was my understanding, but I just wanted to clarify because we didn't. Since it's the committee report, well, it's the committee report that failed. So that's what I'm asking.
We're going to take a brief recess. Mr. Clerk, there was a conversation that we had also, Councilor Bach brought to our attention, and Councilor Royo, some recommendations, but want to give you the opportunity, Mr. Clerk, to read into the record what the order would be.
On docket number 0100, since there was no majority vote on the amendments to the original ordinance that was filed by the mayor, that did not pass, but the original ordinance that was filed by the mayor will continue to remain in committee.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We're on to...
Mr. Chair, can I point an interest?
Okay. The chair recognizes Councilor Baker.
So that means this committee report that was just voted on is dead?
Yes.
We can't vote on this again?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Clerk, I'd like to take something out of order at this time in the interest of getting our municipal police officers back to work. But are we able to take docket? Anyone object to taking docket 0378 out of order? Thank you. Mr. Clerk, could you read into the record docket 0378, please?
Docket number 0378, Councilors Fernandez Anderson and Flaherty offer the following. Order for a hearing to increase the pay for municipal officers.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to suspend the rules, if you will, please, and add Council President Flynn as a third co-sponsor.
Hearing no objection, the councilor is added. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, I am someone who comes from the poor and working class and highly prioritize people of the working class, and often here advocating that we pay people fairly and equitably. I'm excited to offer this along with my co-sponsor, Councilor Flaherty and Councilor Flynn. Before I say any more, I want to thank the officers. I'm not sure, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but you know who you guys are, and I'd like to thank you for your service and all of your hard work for the city of Boston. Throughout our work on this issue, we've basically furnished a stream of data and information for clarification purposes. I must say that the pay scale here for the municipal officers are absolutely unacceptable. Our municipal officers do vital work. They keep City Hall safe and secure, and because of them, our building functions with smoothness and, of course, to be admired. And yet, these essential workers start at an hourly wage that is just a couple of dollars above the state minimum wage. And their current steps ends at less than $25 an hour. This cannot stand. We have to, we should and we can do something about it. In the second most expensive city in the country after New York City, how can we expect people to pay their rent and support their families and when they're being paid such mediocre wages? We are a very rich city. Why do we insist on acting as if we're poor, especially when it comes to compensating our vital workers? So I'm excited by this message and hoping that we can hold a hearing order to discuss, and I'm quite sure that here all of my colleagues will stand in support of this matter, and hopefully we can have a conversation to make sense out of it and pay our municipal officers a fair wage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez Anderson. The chair recognizes Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to the lead sponsor for asking me to partner on this. And as mentioned, we've got a great, hardworking, dedicated municipal police force, that they operate on what's called 4 and 2s, which means they only get weekends off every 6 weeks. Think about that in a calendar year. They only get a full weekend, Saturday and a Sunday, every 6 weeks. And so they keep us safe. They keep visitors here to the City Hall, as well as other municipal buildings and its visitors safe. They're an equal and co-partner in public safety for our city. And as I had alluded to the lead sponsor, I was not aware of arguably the paltry salary that they currently receive, which is actually 200% above the poverty level. So I think that's, and it also speaks to the high turnover rate that's compared to other city departments. Very much like as Council Braden and I have been working closely with the administration with respect to our 911 operators. Same thing, not getting weekends off, not seeing wage increases, not seeing personnel expand. When you don't keep up with attrition and you don't replace departing personnel through retirement or folks leaving, then they're ordered in, which means that they're required to work, which means they have to give up personal and family time, et cetera. So time has come to address this. I think that there's a cadet program starting up fairly soon. I think they may be starting higher than the individuals that are standing behind us. So kudos to the hard work that they do. We in municipal government and as leaders, we have a responsibility to make sure that our partners in government, city employees, the unsung heroes, people that help make the city the great city that it is, are respected and are treated fairly with dignity and respect, and also can get a living wage, frankly, so that they could continue to bring their talents and their passion to city government, as opposed to having to flip around and look at want ads and find out who's hiring and who's going to appreciate their talent and their dedication. And so we have an opportunity here to right a wrong and to allow for folks to earn a good wage here, and look forward to an expedited hearing and look forward to partnering with Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty.
Council President Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Councilor Braden. And I want to first say thank you to my colleagues, Councilor Fernandez Anderson and Councilor Flaherty. I want to say thank you to Councilor Fernandez Anderson for asking me to be part of this hearing order. I wasn't planning to speak on this. My colleagues did an outstanding job talking about the issues that these municipal offices face and the economic challenges that they're facing. But I wanted to highlight one thing in city employees, this union of city employees. It's the most diverse union in the city of Boston. Women, people of color. It's also one of the lowest paid unions in the city of Boston. They're here protecting us, and we've seen the challenges we've had in this body, in this Ionella chamber, in City Hall, but they're protecting us. They're protecting the mayor's office as well. They're protecting the public. And I'll be honest with you, I'm embarrassed about how little they get paid, while we get a great salary. So I say that because if we proclaim to say we're the most liberal city in the country, the most progressive city in the country, and we're paying our workers pennies, peanuts, we're paying them peanuts. Let's not have that title of being the most progressive city in the country if we're not paying people of color, municipal workers, members of a union, we're not paying them a fair wage, a fair salary. So as the council president, I probably speak on behalf of all of us, but this is about social and economic justice. This is about dignity. These officers here, they're not looking to be wealthy, but they're looking to pay their bills for their family, the little child there. We all know how much it costs to send a kid to school to buy school clothes or milk and bread. And some of these officers have told me, I talk to them all the time, as you do. They go to the store, they look at a loaf of bread, And sometimes they can't buy it. They have to put that loaf of bread down. They look at a gallon of milk. They look at the price on the gallon of milk. They have to put it down. One of them told me that they go in the store with quarters and dimes and nickels, and they're counting them there and being embarrassed in front of the cashier and their neighbors, trying to buy some bread for their child. So, as you can tell, I'm angry about this, I'm upset about this, and it's about time we treat them with respect, we treat them with dignity, because when they come to this office every day, that's exactly what they do for us. And for the residents of Boston, they're always there for us. They have our back, especially during difficult times. So I want to say thank you to my council colleagues, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson, Councilor Flaherty, but all of the colleagues here that support these wonderful working men and women of our city. Thank you, Councilor Brady.
Thank you, President Flynn.
Thank you, Council Braden. I know I don't have the order correct, but let me start with, I'll just go around. Let me start with Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. I want to just say that I'm in full support of this, making sure that we pay our municipal officers a living wage. I would be remiss if I did not state that my father, several years ago, went into cardiac arrest here in the building while going down the escalator, and actually, because of the cardiac arrest, tumbled down the elevator, cracked his head, was bleeding, and it's not an opinion, it is a fact that he would be dead today if not for the actions of Roman Colon, our municipal officer, and his colleagues. He would not be here with me and my family today. This was a situation where they had to act within seconds. A cardiac arrest, for folks who don't know, the Buffalo Bills had a situation that went national, and so a lot of people know about cardiac arrest now, but it stops oxygen to the brain. And so we're talking about a matter of seconds. It takes about 30 to 90 seconds of no oxygen to the brain for someone who has had a cardiac arrest to actually be essentially brain dead due to the actions of Roman Colon, due to the actions of his colleagues, getting a defibrillator, moving as quickly as they did to mobilize and stabilize him, a situation that had no, that simply relied on their training, their expertise, their bravery, their courage, moving within seconds. If they had not done that, if he had not done that, he would be dead. The percentages actually had it at about 10% of folks who have cardiac arrests outside of a hospital setting survive. When they when they actually make it to a hospital, the number of that 10%, 1% walk out of that hospital. And the only reason why my father was able to walk out of that hospital and even had a chance to walk out of that hospital is because of Roman Colon and the work of the municipal officers that day. And so I cannot advocate more, or in a more vociferous way, that we pay them living wages. This is actually the first I've seen of what your salaries are. The starting salary here, I think it's, what I have written down here is that your starting salary for some folks is as low as $35,000. I used to have a joke when I went to law school in Chicago. I had a friend who was looking at a house for $200,000, and I said, $200,000 in Boston gets you 3 roommates. I can't imagine what trying to find housing on $35,000 is. When I first became a public defender, I started at $40,000. I had, in fact, 3 roommates. And so my hope is that we pay our municipal officers what they deserve. You do exemplary work. I know in the moments of any kind of emergency or action, I have full faith that the members of municipal officers here in the city will do what is necessary to protect and to save and to serve the folks who come in here. And so, I'm eternally grateful to all of you for the work that was done on that day, and in any way in which I can continue to uplift your work and make sure that you are receiving the salary and the benefits that you deserve. I'm happy to do that, and I believe that it's the right thing to do. Frankly, nobody in the city, especially with our residency requirements, should be making that kind of starting salary. So thank you, Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Councilor Arroyo. The chair recognizes Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to add my name to the chorus, show support for the good men and women of the municipal police force. I also am someone that is here with 37 years of service in the city of Boston, and know that if departments and people aren't supported, then we don't get the best out of them. I think this is the first outfit that we should talk about, not percentage raises. We got to look at the grades and bump them all up from the initial grade in to what you are at the end. I had worked for 25 years in the city and only got up to $50,000. And I think it was you that said that our salary is a good salary. It's okay, it's good, but it's still difficult in Boston on our salary. So imagine what it is for these men and women over here. We need to support them. And I do think that this is just probably the first group that we should deal with. We have a whole lot of people that are in this building here making 40, 45, and doing a lot for the city. But I think in this discussion, we should talk about what's happening with the close to $500 million we passed in ARPA and different funds last year. How do we get city employees, those men and women up there, how do we give them money to get into home ownership? How do we work with them specifically to get into home ownership? And the other issue is I would like to have, and it may or may not be able to happen in this discussion, is where the MOU is with the police department and training for this outfit here. So I think it should be a catch-all for what the salaries are doing. What are we doing for our city employees when it comes to home ownership? If you're paying someone 50 grand, but you're gonna give them 50 grand towards a house to buy, maybe it's worth getting that job for 50 grand. You know, and also we have to talk about the MOUs. So again, thrilled that this is happening. Sign me on, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. The chair recognizes Councilor Bork. Councilor Bork, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I want to add my thanks to our municipal police officers. You're really the ambassadors for the building and the whole city portfolio, and I mean, brighten my day, and also just really grateful for everything that you guys do. So I think strongly agree with what everyone said. I think that I serve on the Residency Compliance Commission, and I think it's really been a consistent theme of the last year that we should really be talking about the people who make the lease who are subject to residency, and that's really where the city should be focusing. And here, when we come to the municipal police officers, we have a whole category of folks in that position. So thank you so much for your service to the city of Boston. We really, really appreciate it, and as your council will can work on this, and thank you to Councilor Anderson and Councilors Flaherty and Flynn for bringing this forward. Please add my name.
Thank you, Councilor Bork. The chair recognizes Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty, you have the floor. Okay. The chair recognizes Councilor Lara. Councilor Lara, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Flynn. I just want to stand, and my brevity is not at all for lack of support and gratitude for the municipal police, but I do want to make sure that I get my name added. I unfortunately have to run out for an emergency, but I just want to say thank you. Like Councilor Bach said, every morning you kind of light up the day. It's really nice to walk into this building and have you there, and the work that you do does not go unnoticed, especially making sure that we're safe here in the Ionella Chambers. I am in support of this. I think that we oftentimes have conversations around housing and people being able to afford housing, and I think the best way to make sure that people can afford to live there is by paying them more money. So this is one step closer to that. So thank you, President Flynn. Thank you to the co-sponsors, and thank you to the police.
Thank you, Councilor Lara. The chair recognizes Councilor Louis-Jean. Councilor Louis-Jean, you have the floor.
Thank you, and sorry if I'm a bit stuffy. I'm recovering from a cold, but I just want to say thank you to Councilor Fernandez Anderson for filing this. As everyone has stated, municipal employees' salaries and wages have failed to keep up with the pace of inflation and rising home prices and rents, along with the increasingly high cost of living. Again, everyone knows now that Boston is the second most expensive place to rent in the country. Historically, working for our city and working at City Hall, whether it be as a clerk, as a municipal officer, custodial staff, admin staff, has long been a pathway towards a steady and stable income and employment. And historically, it's been a stepping stone toward financial freedom. But we've seen that really not be the case anymore. So I support this effort to get municipal officers more money, but we also need to, as a city, do a comprehensive review of all City Hall employees to make sure that we are paying them increased wages, and that our lowest wage workers who do, they're lowest wage workers, but they do really meaningful work, that meaningful work is rewarded with dignity affirming wages, because oftentimes you show someone how much you care about them or how much you value them by how much you pay them. And so because we value you and because we say all the incredible work that you do, because you greet us, because you open the garage doors for us when we forget our badges and the like, we should affirm how much we care about the work that you do for us and for the city by reflecting that in your paycheck. That's the greatest way that you can show people that you care about them. We're having this conversation as well with the janitors here in City Hall, sat down with them to see what we can do to support their efforts to get more money in this very, very expensive city. So thank you, add my name, and happy to be part of this discussion.
Thank you, Councilor Louis-Jean. The chair recognizes Councilor Murphy. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President Flynn, and I'm standing in support, and I do just want to say one lesson my dad taught me when I got my first teaching job was to treat the custodian the same way I treated the principal, and I brought that lesson with me 15 months ago when I came in here to City Hall to make sure that I treat all of you the same way I treat the mayor and everyone else who is in this building. So I do want to thank you for the smile you greet me with every morning, for helping me get in my office when I forget my past, the conversations we have. I do feel like myself and others in my office have made strong relationships with all of you, or most of you. I recognize all of your faces here. And do just want to reiterate and push back a little on the residency. Because yes, it feels as though we could fix that by just paying you more, and you wouldn't have to leave the city that you live in, and many of you probably want to stay here. So I do just want to push back a little on giving waivers to residency when we could just pay people a living wage. So that's what I'm going to advocate for, and I know that we've been working since last spring with many of you to make sure that this contract is looked at and that we look at the studies that they've had, and some departments are pushing back on not wanting to make your pay you more or privatize your department. So I'm here to support you. Thank you for all you do, and just stand in support of going forward.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. The chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to just echo all the comments of my colleagues and my deep appreciation for all the great work that you folks do every day. Your professionalism, just how you conduct yourselves and how you do your work and keeping us safe in the City Hall. And we're having this ongoing conversation about what a living wage is for our municipal employees. And I really feel that your situation is dire in a sense. It is, as Councillor Flynn said, it's almost an embarrassment that we are expecting you to work for so little. So I really, please add my name, and I'm in full support of this. And I look forward to the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Braden. The last comment on this issue will be Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. Councilor Fernandez-Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to my colleagues for supporting this unanimously here today. Originally I was going to file it as a resolution because I felt like we were all going to unanimously vote and go on record in support. But I think that this warrants a conversation. The officers are actually in negotiation period with the administration at the moment. The issue is that they've asked for a certain amount, and it's very reasonable, and they did not get it. So I think the conversation then is looking at those numbers and saying, can we support them in raising it to the numbers that they're asking for? I believe that we'll all agree to that. Councillor Baker, thank you so much for your comments. I do agree. President Flynn, yeah, our pay is kind of reasonable, and I just want to reemphasize that, it's reasonable, but to whom, right? So for some of us, it's really, really hard, especially having like 4 single mothers on this council. Imagine what it's like to go home and what you end up taking home for your living wage. So if I take after taxes, maybe, I don't know, 70, 80, then what am I doing with, as a single parent with the rents in Boston? So not everybody's situation is the same. And then if I imagine that, I put myself in those shoes, I think about my budget, and needs, and then I think about the officers and living on about half of that. So we cannot keep going with this, and I won't continue to belabor it, but it's super important that here we're saying that we're supportive, but it's understanding that what they're asking for is super reasonable and not even close to what most people make in the city. And then, of course, with Councilor Lujan's comment that we definitely need to look at custodian, we need to look at parks, we need to look at all of these departments that we say are super diverse and have people of color are the departments that have people at the very bottom, especially people, black and brown people at the very bottom, that get paid very low. So if we respect them and we say hello and they make us feel good, but their jobs is way more than that, right? Like they save people's lives, they're at risk, they're putting their lives on the line for us, and then we are having conversations. Let's not get, cheap about what is right for people to live on, because everybody's life needs something different, right? It's all about people's individual needs. So I thank you for being open and supporting this, and I look forward to an expedited hearing so that we can support them. And Mr. President, if we can do a picture, I know it's not a resolution, but if we can do a picture before the officers leave, I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez Anderson. And let me just add, myself and Councilor Fernandez Anderson are hosting an appreciation lunch next week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. with all of our councilors for the municipal police officers here at it's either the Curly or the Piedmonte, but wanted to invite all the city council colleagues, but certainly we're hosting this in your honor for your professional work. Mr. Clerk, on this docket, could you please add the following councilors? Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Baker, Councilor Barr, Councilor Braden, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Lara, Councilor Louis-Jean, Councilor Murphy. This docket 0378 will be referred to the Committee on City Services, Innovation, Technology, and at the request of City Councilor Fernandez Anderson, I would like to ask the municipal police officers to come down here. Oh, yeah. It's probably better for the city councils to go back there. We're in brief recess for a photo. We're back in session. Mr. Clerk, we're on docket 0166. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're back on docket 0135.
Docket number 0135, petition for a special law relative to an act to reorganization of the Boston School Committee.
The chair recognizes Councilor Arroyo, the chair of the Committee on Government Operations. Councilor Arroyo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Government Operations held a working session Monday, February 6th on docket 0135, petition for a special law regarding an act relative to the reorganization of the Boston School Committee, which was sponsored by Councilor Mejia and myself. I'd like to thank my council colleagues for attending, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson, Councilor Louis Jen, Councilor Braden, Councilor Murphy, and Council President Flynn. Not sure, but I think Councilor Flaherty was there, but he's been at previous. This home rule petition would establish a transition from a fully appointed school committee to a fully elected school committee in the city of Boston as currently written. The legislation takes a phased-in approach to the transition. During the working session, this committee discussed specific language suggestions to include a more streamlined phasing of the elected school committee. Importantly, we discussed bifurcating the process so that the home rule petition essentially will be two home rule petitions, two separate petitions voted on separately, one for an elected school committee, and then a secondary one on having youth advocates or youth BPS students vote on the school committee. So two separate, one for an elected school committee, one for student voting members. As chair of the Government Operations, I ask that this matter remain in the committee as we finalize all the language suggestions. However, I do intend to move this matter for a vote at the next council meeting, which will be next week, February 15th. I'd like to thank my council colleagues again for their input on specific language suggestions and on the purposes for bifurcation. We've had numerous working sessions on this, and I appreciate everyone's time and energies on moving this forward. Those changes will be reflected in the final version put before the council. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Arroyo. Docket 0166 will remain in committee. I'm sorry, docket 0135 will remain in committee. Mr. Clerk, we're on docket 0166.
Docket number 0166, order for a hearing to ensure that the Boston Police and school safety officers work together to ensure a safe environment for all our students and staff in the Boston Public Schools.
That docket 0166 will remain in committee. Mr. Clerk, please read docket 0211.
Docket number 0211, message in order for your approval, an order appropriating from the Edward Ingersoll Brown Fund the sum of $1,475,000 for projects described in the attached order. The Edward Ingersoll Brown Fund Commissioners met on December 7th, 2022, and voted to approve these projects and to establish a dedicated repairs and restoration fund for the Brown Fund projects.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Block, the chair of the Committee City Services, Innovation Technology. Councilor Block, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, and I want to thank the representatives of the city's Treasury Department who joined us on Monday, along with my colleagues, Councilor Flaherty, who is the council representative on the Brown Fund as a commissioner, Councilor Murphy, and yourself, Mr. President. The Brown Fund is a wonderful fund that we have in the city of Boston, endowed to help beautify the city, and it funds sort of public art beautification projects, and then actually also sends out somebody to check every year on the condition of them, and it sort of is, committed to this ever-growing supply of your catalog of great little installations all over the city in various different respects. So really excited about this year's slate of projects. The amount actually is sort of double what we would normally see because it's really the allocation for 2 years. There wasn't a Brown Fund disbursement process last year, just with all of the transition, and so it's very exciting to see these monies finally come out. Probably the one sort of new main thing that is included in this order is a $500,000 appropriation for a dedicated repair and restoration fund. The Brown Fund kind of piloted having the recipients of monies sign a maintenance agreement to kind of do ongoing maintenance, and they send out this person to check annually on the projects. But there are situations where the original community group that pushed for the project no longer exists, or like agreements have lapsed. And there's some really great installations around the city that need a little bit more TLC. And so while the fund doesn't want to spend too much of its money on existing projects versus funding new projects, they've kind of established that this is a thing that they want to be able to do it to some degree. And so there's a $500,000 councilors will see included in this appropriation for that purpose. I also wanted to note that we also, I got a fulsome absence letter from Councilor Louis Jen, so thank you for that. And then I thought I'd just very quickly, for anybody who's watching at home, run through the projects that are funded in this slate. I won't do the amounts, but generally, if it's design, it's sort of 25, 50,000. If it's actually installing something, it's 75, 100, 125 is kind of the scale here. So there's money going to lighting for Chin Park in Chinatown, for the design of a Chinatown worker statue project, for the monument and plaza around the John Boyle O'Reilly Monument and the Back Bay Fens, to the Frederick Douglass Sculpture Committee for a new Frederick Douglass Memorial, to the Coconut Grove Memorial, this new long-awaited memorial commemorating this huge disaster in Boston Fire's history. I want to note that we got quite a lot of correspondence related to this, and as a native Bay Villager, it's close to my heart. I think we heard from a lot of family members of folks who died in the fire for whom it would be a real place to go and reflect and remember, and also a lot of people from the fire community. So I think there's a lot of excitement about that. There's money going to the Friends of Crite Park to improve. There's money for the public access to the green space at First Church Roxbury, to improve green space in Codman Square, to the lighting of the William Lloyd Garrison Memorial Statue on the Combath Mall, to improve community gardens in Charlestown, to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dorchester, the accessible space connected to the new Dorchester Field House, to the work on the Memorial Hall fence and landscape in Charlestown, and then, as I mentioned again, the repair and restoration fund. So I would be grateful, Mr. President, if Councilor Flaherty, who, as I said, represents us on the fund, could be afforded a chance to speak. But once he has that opportunity, I would love to recommend that the council pass this appropriation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bach. The chair recognizes Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to the sponsor, our colleague, Councilor Bach, for expediting the hearing. And I just want to take the opportunity to really highlight the work of Margaret Dyson, who's the trust manager. She runs a tight ship, to say the least. The projects obviously speak for themselves. They take place all across the city. My district colleagues should take great comfort in the Brown Fund, as well as the role that it plays in beautification and giving folks the resources they need to maintain those properties. One thing that I want to highlight, and Councilor Bach just alluded to it, is that for the first time in, I believe, the Brown Fund's history, Margaret, in her wisdom, came up with something I think that we should consider doing for CPA down the road, which is to have a dedicated repair and restoration fund, and talk about good fiscal stewardship, and talk about thoughtful way to maintain projects that they've previously supported, and also being able to carry out and really kind of highlight the legacy of the Ingersoll Brown Fund. And that's something that Mayor Wu and I were very excited about as she put the presentation together, and we identified some projects, the ones that have been mentioned, and the amount that we were putting towards them, and then to have another discussion about, hey, come up with this idea, and we think that this is more than appropriate way to, kind of maintain existing contributions and support at the meantime, to not reinvent the wheel. So I just thought that that was worth highlighting. Margaret, as the trust manager, does a phenomenal job on behalf of the city and on behalf of the fund, and it was a pleasure to work alongside of her as a member of the fund, representing this body, and happy to move forward and encourage all my colleagues to support the chair's recommendation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Bach seeks acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0211. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The docket is passed. We're on to motions, orders, resolutions. Mr. Clerk, can you please read docket 0377?
Docket number 0377, Councilors Flynn and Lara offer the following. Order for a hearing to discuss increasing access to swimming lessons and awareness of water safety.
President Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council Braden. Council Braden, this is a refile. I'll be very brief. Glad to partner with Councilor Lara on the importance of ensuring all young people, students in BPS, receive access to swimming lessons, especially our young students, students of color, immigrant students. But I know this is an important issue for all of my colleagues. It's a refile. Thank you, Councilor Braden.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak or add their name? Mr. Clerk, can you please add Councilor Baker, Councilor Buck, Councilor Braden, Councilor Anderson, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Louisian, Councilor Royal, Councilor Murphy. This docket 0378, I'm sorry, this docket 0377 will be referred to the Committee on Strong Women, Families, and Communities. We're on to docket 0378, Mr. Clerk?
7.
Okay. We're on docket 03, yep. Docket 0379.
Docket number 0379, Councilor Fernandez Anderson offer the following. Order for a hearing calling for district increment financing to be utilized in District 7.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to suspend the rule and add Councilor Julia Mejia and Councilor Louisian.
Hearing no objection, Councilor Mejia and Councilor Louisian are added. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson.
Thank you, President Flynn. I'm excited for the prospect of DIFs being utilized in District 7. The district increment finance will allow the city to incorporate a portion of their property tax revenues within a specific area. In this case, District 7 to support various projects in the community. DIF utilizes tax dollars in ways that better assist residents that are dealing with problematic socioeconomic indicators. DIF captures a portion of tax revenues from new real estate development. This can help combat the rampant gentrification currently at work in the community. Additionally, it can act to redirect some of those resources back to the citizens of the community being impacted. I believe that this can also function as an engine to support those in the realm of the arts and culture, as well as community center folks, organizations, and businesses rooted in the neighborhoods that the DIF is ascended within. DIFs can currently or are currently being utilized in both Somerville and Brockton. In Assembly Square in Somerville, the DIF was put in place in 2010 in an area of 66.5 acres and has generated around $25 million in revenue. In Brockton, the DIF was instituted in 2015 over an area of 190 acres and has generated around $31 million in revenue. A DIF is put in place for a 30-year term, which allows for a portion of the property tax thereby raised to be put toward new development and for increased assessed values of existing properties to be set aside for projects within the DIF's boundaries. A truly impactful DIF will enforce requirements that all the projects hire locally and support local businesses, ensuring economic and social benefits to the Black and brown and working class communities that predominantly in the surrounding areas of the DIF. Based on these facts, I think that evidence is clear that a property utilizing DIF could be a productive agent of economic and social improvement and empowerment for District 7. I look forward to continuing this conversation to help ensure that this possibility becomes a reality. Thank you very much, and thank you to my co-sponsors.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Would anyone like to speak on this matter? The chair recognizes Councilor Louis Jean. Councilor Louis Jean, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Flynn, and thank you to Councilor Fernandez Anderson for adding me. I'll be brief. District increment financing can be a really powerful economic tool, promoting public-private partnerships and channeling tax dollars into targeted redevelopment districts. From my first hearing order on municipal bonds, I've been interested in thinking about and finding new and innovative ways to help finance the transformations that we need in our neighborhoods. Underutilized areas lead to a decrease in assessed property values, further corresponding to decreases in municipal revenue. Often it's difficult to attract private investment in these areas, thus starting a downward spiral. So a DIF can potentially break that spiral and reverse its direction. It can provide an innovative tool for community investments. It's an option worth exploring, and I'm excited to join Councilor Fernandez Anderson on this hearing order to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Louis Jean. The chair recognizes Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to congratulate the District 7 City Councilor, and please add my name. I actually am working on DIF legislation specifically for the Marcy Boulevard corridor, where you know the UMass, the Globe building, the Center Court. So what we've come up with is to do a DIF, defined area that we have circled, and in this area, and you're familiar with the area, Council President, the tax now, today, every year to the city of Boston is $6 million. The projections in 10 to 15 years are going to be $150 million in this same area, same tax base. So what we're trying to do with the DIF in District 3, that defined area, is to first get a DIF passed, an agreement from across the hall and from the assessing department to be able to maybe potentially go after a large bond, maybe $100 million bond, where 75 of it could go towards the transportation needs that we have there, and 25 could go towards, we've talked a little bit about social bonds. I'd like to see 25 of it go towards job training in that area, because the whole area is going to become about the future in the next 10 to 15 years with job training, with bio, with UMass. And then, so job training, and also I would like to be able to put some of the money into the field house down at Columbia Point, because Columbia Point, if we do it correctly and build it out with the services that are there before we start tricking it out with all the shiny buildings. So if we have a field house, if we have job training set up, if we have those sort of pathways into those shiny buildings, then the shiny buildings aren't the enemy. So thank you for your work. Please sign me on. And also, I would like to, we'll work with your office. We could probably have both of the hearings together. First part would deal with what a DIF might look like in District 7, and then the second half of it could be talk specifically about my area that I have identified. We've done numbers. We have buildings and different projects all identified that are going to be within that DIF area. So thank you for your work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. Would anyone like to add their name? Please raise your hand. Mr. Clerk, can you please add Councilor Braden, Councilor Murphy, Councilor Flaherty, please add the chair. This docket 0379 will be referred to the Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation. Mr. Clerk, please read docket 0380.
Docket number 0380, Councilors Louis Jean and Coletta offer the following. Order for a hearing to address the mental health needs of our students with a focus on guidance counselors.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The chair recognizes Councilor Louis Jean. Councilor Louis Jean, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to suspend the rules and add Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson as an original co-sponsor.
Hearing no objection, Councilor Fernandez Anderson is added. The chair recognizes Councilor Louis Jean.
Thank you, President Flynn. I think it is incredibly important that we all recognize, and we all do, the stress that our young kids are dealing with and the unprecedented mental health challenges that we see that are resulting in a lot of behavior that is difficult to really observe, and that's leading to a lot of depression and anxiety among our student population. Last week, or the week before last, in this chambers, we honored the Guidance Counselor of the Year, Mrs. Encasio Martin, over at Boston Latin School. and she spoke to the need of having more guidance counselors to be the front line of services for our young kids when they come through the doors. We heard that last year for those of us who were at DESE and attended the DESE's misguided hearing on a state takeover. They also honored the Guidance Counselor of the Year from last year. And she too said, when they asked, what do we need to do to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students, is we need to make sure that we're decreasing that student to guidance counselor ratio so that our guidance counselors are not just reacting to the needs of our students, so they could be more reactive and engaged in the lives of in our young people. They are critical not only to showing our young kids the career opportunities, it's also creates an environment where our young kids have trusting adults that they can turn to and look to help solve big and small problems, to know that there's someone in the building who isn't a teacher, someone who isn't their parent, that they can build a relationship with and build trust with. I think it's going to, the more that we really center our guidance counselors in the conversation, the more we'll see incredible outcomes in our young people. I had the distinct pleasure this morning of going to Young Achievers K through 8 in Mattapan, which is where my niece goes, which is a school that has also been struggling with a number of issues among the student population. And I think the way that we meet the needs of our young students is by making sure that they have the social and emotional supports they need to succeed. And that is through building relationships with trusting adults. And I want to give a shout out to all of the incredible staff at Young Achievers, from the head of school, Dr. Jody, to all of the support staff that are really invested in the success, both academically of the kids and on their mental health. We know that they are really doing great work in terms of transparency. We know about some of the difficult issues that they're facing because they report them. And so it's upon us to meet their needs. They don't have a guidance counselor, not one in the building. And that is part of the problem. And so I am committed to having this hearing and bringing in experts who have been really working, national experts who have been talking about the need for us to have more guidance counselors in our school buildings so that we can really build trust with our student population. And I'm excited to have this conversation as we're thinking about the budget, as we're thinking about how we support our schools with the resources that we need for our kids to succeed, and we're making sure that they're surrounded by loving and trusting adults. So thank you for this opportunity to speak on this matter, and I'm looking forward to a hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wijan. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. Councilor Fernandez-Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilor Wijan, for adding me as a co-sponsor. I look forward to working with you on this. The interesting perspective about public schools is that most of the people, especially and I hear this mostly, and I don't want to categorize like political, compartmentalize political positions of people, whether liberal or progressive or whatever, because people are people, right? But some people talk about this public schools like we don't need more money, for example, in these services or this service. The problem is we need better curriculums, or we need to reform our education system. The issue with that is, as a young mother at 20 years old, when I had my son, I immediately, while I was expecting, I immediately signed up for MECO program. And so my older son graduated from Weston High School, and then of course my younger son also is in MECO. And so I go to these facilities, I go to these schools to visit, and I look at the facilities, and it's state of the art. When I tell you that it's a completely different environment, it's a completely different environment. They have state-of-the-art facilities. And when I tell you state-of-the-art facilities, it is holistic, it is clean, everything works, it's efficient, and it's state-of-the-art. And so they have outdoor spaces, experiential learning, and all of this. All of these things that helps you with, again, other ways of learning that complements curriculums are available, and resources are available to our students. Sports that supports, and as we know it, right? In order for us to have really more release of serotonin in our brains, we have to exercise, we have to do different sort of dietary practices in order to complement our mental health. So a clinician then in schools is left to, quickly triage a problem, and sometimes I think, or I guess the psychiatrist would diagnose and then to do services. We're doing it wrong, and we're rushing it, and we're sort of congesting a whole bunch of clientele in one social worker, and we're saying 2 social workers per school. That's actually inefficient. 1 guidance counselor per school, inefficient. So we understand that the resources should be invested in facilities in capital, in ensuring that we have all of these other types of holistic resources to support our children's curriculum, to support their academic process. However, while we don't have these things, while we're not properly investing in our children's social determinants of health, as a city, we're working to do that. While we're doing all of that, we definitely need guidance counselors. Social workers or counselors, what they do is they implement treatment plans and goals, and then they leave it to parents to go home to follow up. And then a lot of the parents don't have the resources to understand a child's diagnosis or the treatment plan, so they can't complement behavioral modification at home. What they do then is left to structure that child out of school time with very little resources. So it's not that we're doing it backwards, it's that we are not actually allocating resources in facilities or, again, in those lifestyle type of resources that complements a child's academic success, as well as we don't actually have enough of people like guidance counselors who will actually take you, sit down with your child and look at their sort of executive function habits and skills that they can teach your child, and also looking at their curriculum, their career planning, right? So I want us to be very open to this conversation, less judgmental as to what the resources or what solutions will work and not work. One thing is for certain, we definitely need more guidance counselors. So again, of course, I support this and look forward to the work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Would anyone like to add their name? Please raise your hand. Mr. Clerk, please add Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Baker, Councilor Block, Councilor Braden, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Murphy. Please add the chair. Docket 038. I'm sorry. Did I get you, Councilor?
Yes, I just, if I can have my name added to 0379, which is also prior to this.
Okay. Docket 0380 will be referred to the Committee on Education. Mr. Clerk, on docket 0379, could we add Councilor Arroyo as well? We're on to personnel orders. Mr. Clerk, please read docket 0381.
Docket number 0381, Councilor Flynn for Councilor
The chair seeks suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0381. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The docket is passed. We're on to late files. I'm informed by the clerk that there are 5 additional late file matters. The additional late file matters include a letter of absence from Councilor Mejia, a letter of absence from Councilor Coletta, a letter of absence from Councilor Worrell, ordinance from Councilor Fernandez-Anderson, a home rule petition from Councilor Arroyo. These late file matters should be on everyone's desk at this time. If you don't have them, can you let me know? Can you raise your hand? Okay. We will take a vote to add these items, these late file matters, into the agenda. All those in favor of adding the late file matters into the agenda say aye. Aye. Thank you. These late file matters have been added. Mr. Clerk, please read the first 3 late file matters into the record, which are the letters of absence from Councilor Mejia, Coletta, and Worrell.
First late file from Councilor Julia Mejia. Dear Council President Flynn, I'm writing to inform you of my absence today, February 8th, 2023, 23 City Council meeting. Please note that I will be traveling to Washington, D.C. with 15 Boston residents for the annual Dominicans on the Hill Conference. A representative from my staff will be listening in and following up with me, and I will thoroughly review the video and meeting minutes. Thank you. Sincerely, Councilor Julia Mejia. Late file number 2 from Councilor Gabriela Coletta. Dear Council President Flynn, I regret to inform you that I will be absent from our weekly council meeting on February 8th, 2023 due to a previous commitment that I must attend to. Kindly read this letter into the record. Sincerely, Councilor Coletta. And the third late file docket from Councilor Brian Worrell. Dear President Flynn, please be advised that I am unable to attend today's council meeting due to familial commitments. My staff will be in attendance, and I will review the tape of the meeting when it becomes available. Thank you, Councilor Worrell.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. These 3 late file matters will be placed on file. Mr. Clerk, the 4th late file, will you please read that, which is an ordinance from City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson.
Offered by Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson, ordinance to increase the allocated budget for city council staff. Whereas the city of Boston recently became the second most expensive city in the United States to live in, with 98% of all apartments in the city at $2,000 or above in rent. And whereas that the City Council Municipal Code ordinances be amended by Chapter 2 by striking out paragraph Section 2-8.3 regarding the conduct and affairs of the City Council in an appropriate hearing.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Clerk, when you read that part, you have to say, the second most expensive city in the country, like that. Mr. President, thank you so much. The City Council is fortunate enough to be supported by our staff members who work hard to ensure that respective districts and city best interests are always the focal point of what we do. Our staff deserve to get paid for the work that they put in and for the tasks that arise for them to fulfill on a daily basis. From being on the phone and to consoling constituents, attending meetings across a district or city, our staff are valuable contributors to the collective enterprise and comprises of local government. Many put long hours. As a result, we end up having short nights, just to make sure that people that we serve are well supported. Because they work so hard, they deserve a pay that matches their job descriptions, and that is constitutive of the tasks they take on. All of our task members are required to be residents of Boston, so they have to pay rent, mortgage, transportation, just like the rest of us. Many, of course, with families. Yet staffers get paid less than the state legislators, even though, on the average, represent twice as many people. How do we expect them to keep up with the rising cost of housing in Boston, where the Federal Reserve states that the residents of Boston needs to get paid at least $80,000 to spend 28% of their income on housing? Rent in Boston, on average, is $2,000 or above, and that's if you're lucky to get maybe a one-bedroom at this point, with the vast majority of apartments now going in significantly more than that. According to a Harvard study, as we all know here, residents need a salary of at least $181,000, not $103,000, $181,000 just to afford a home. That's why I am promising an ordinance, or at least proposing, an ordinance to increase city council staff budget to $390,000 for councilors. And of course, in my brief, I broke down the salaries. I've compared it to other positions that are similar to our staff. And just to be very clear, we talk about paying people, but we go back to our staff. We expect them to do everything. Yes, we work about 80 hours easily a week. Yes, we put in a lot of hours, but we do expect our staff to do all of it. These are grown adults with families. These are people that we say we respect, that we treat with dignity, that we push to run around and take care of everything. We know we don't even have enough staff. We need office managers, we need other types of staffs, but we don't have enough money to be able to increase our capacity. So what we do is we take now up to $315,000, and we split that up, and then we say, hey, we have we say we have a staff and we have a director of this, a policy, director of constituent service, director of communications. We call them directors, but we pay them less than $75,000. And sometimes we give them bonuses. This is all public information. But some of our staff members start at $45,000. Constituent services, that requires a lot of trauma-induced work. That's more of a case manager, social worker level work. And so when we're paying people just $45,000, $50,000 to stand on the phone, to get yelled at, to receive all of the trauma and everything that poor families are going through and complaining on the phone, reporting on the phone, then we say, oh yeah, my director would, and we proudly announce them, and we know that, we all agree that they should get paid more. So instead of putting it all on the council president, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you so much for increasing their salaries this year twice, but still, we're still not at the amount that we need in order to respectfully pay people. So I suggest that we compare this again to other positions in our admin staff. We were able to do that. We were able to raise our admin staff salary because we all agree that they deserve better. We should do the same with our staff as well. Thank you, and I look forward to my council colleagues to standing up and supporting this and having a conversation about exactly what is necessary to pay people respectful salaries in the city of Boston. Again, if we're calling them directors, and the same goes for us. Like our salary is a political conversation. I get it. You know, the public might say we get paid too much. And so we start saying stuff like, oh, you know, if maybe some counselors are okay with it, but it's really not. It doesn't equate to what we need for Boston. And yet everybody else in our positions or positional leadership gets paid like about $150,000 and above. So not even close to what we get. And then we're called like counselors. And it's like, yeah, we're counselors, but we can barely afford Boston too. And then we're calling people directors, but yet we pay them under $75,000. That's not fair. It's not right. We got to change that immediately. So I hope that you guys will support me in having this conversation. Let's do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. The chair recognizes Councilor Murphy. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President Flynn. I did just want to stand, thank you for bringing this forward. I know all of this will be talked about and worked out in the hearings, but the whereas where you said that each city councilor represents around 75,000 residents, I do want to stand with my other at-large councilors to remind you we represent 700,000 residents, and some days I do feel like, and I know my at-large colleagues would agree, some days our office feels like we're supposed to do the work of 9, which is humanly impossible. We cannot be 9 district councilors. And so I do know that that will be part of the conversation, but I did just want to stand and say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Would anyone else like to speak in this matter? The chair recognizes Councilor Louis-Jean. Councilor Louis-Jean, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Flynn. I just wanted to say please add my name, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. Thank you for bringing this conversation to the floor. I wholeheartedly agree that we ask our staff to do a lot, and just like everything, the conversations that we're having, we got to match how much we care about our people and how much work they do for us by showing them how much we truly value them in their paychecks. And that's true for everyone and for every office. So thank you, Councilor Fernandez-Anderson. Look forward to this conversation. And thank you to my staff for holding it down.
Thank you, Councilor Louis-Jean. Would anyone else like to speak? The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez-Anderson.
I apologize. Thank you.
I'm sorry. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez-Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry, guys. Councilor President Flynn, I forgot to add Councilor Julia Mejia as a co-sponsor.
Councilor Mejia is added.
She can be added as a second, from my understanding. Is that? Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can you rule on that?
Yeah, we've added her in other documents earlier.
Okay. Okay. Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Would anyone like to add their name? Mr. Clerk, please add Councilor Arroyo, Councilor Barr, Councilor Braden, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Louis-Jean, please add Councilor Murphy, please add the chair, And let me briefly state that I also want to say thank you to Councilor Fernandez Anderson. This is an important discussion, and I know during the last budget process, this body was received an increase thanks to Mayor Wu, and I think Mayor Wu understands the important role that the city council and the staff play as being a former city councilor. So I want to say thank you to the mayor's administration, but it's also important to continue to advocate in making sure we get the resources we deserve, we need, so our staff can do their job effectively. Thank you, Councilor Fernandez Anderson. This late filed matter will be referred to the Committee on Rules Administration since it is related to City Council personnel and operations. The fifth late file matter is an ordinance from Councilor Royal. Mr. Clerk, can you please read that into the record?
Offered by Councilors Arroyo and Mejia. Home rule petition, whereas the Boston School Committee is governed as the governing body of the Boston Public Schools and is responsible for defining the vision, mission, and goals of BPS, the annual operating budget, hiring, managing, and evaluating the superintendent, and setting and reviewing district policies and practices. A petition for a special law, an act establishing student voting on the Boston School Committee.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Royal. Councilor Royal, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Flynn. This is simply the bifurcation that I spoke about, taking the student voting members and making that its own home rule petition. And so we will have a home rule petition before the body next week regarding an elected school committee, and then a home rule petition before the body next week regarding student voting members. There will be two separate votes that will allow people to express their opinions on both of those things separately, while also allowing the mayor and the legislature to make determinations on both of those things separately. So there will be a elected school committee vote, and there will be a student voting member vote, and this will allow folks to express their opinions on both, but not feel as if they are being sort of forced to speak on one while trying to speak on another. And so both of those things will go up the same day, but the decisions on what and how you vote on those will certainly be up to the body, up to the mayor, and how she would like to address those, and up to the legislature on how they would like to address those. But this will separate the two things and have an elected school committee and then the student voting member. And so this simply would take the process that we already use for our student voting members. So election through BSAC, appointment through BSAC, they would get appointed instead of one student, it would be two BPS students, and it would provide an alternate seat in case either one of those two needs to be replaced or is unable to continue in their duties during that year. All of them through the current BSAC process that we currently use to select our student member. But as this body knows, our current student member does not have the ability to vote on matters before the school committee. This would change that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Royal. Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Would anyone like to add their name? Please raise your hand. Mr. Clerk, please add Councilor Bach, Councilor Braden, Councilor Fernandez Anderson, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Louis-Jean. This late file matter will be referred to the Committee on Government Operations. We're on to green sheets. Anyone wishing to remove a matter from the green sheets may do so at this time. The chair recognizes Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Clerk, I have two separate sets, so we'll go through the first set of them. I'm looking to pull dockets 0213, 0214 from page 9 of 14 in the green sheets, and 0215 on page 10 of 14 in the green sheets.
Councilor, can we do all of them?
You want me to do all? Yeah, okay. So then I'm also looking to pull 0219, 0222, and 0223 from page 10 of 14 in the green sheets. So 6 in total.
Mr. Clerk, the dockets Councilor Baker highlighted, docket 0213 through 0215, 0219, 0222, and 0223. Can you please read those into the record?
From the Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation, docket number 0213, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Perlis Kemeny as an alternate member of the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission for a term expiring May 1st, 2026. Docket number 0214, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Maurice Feingold as a member of the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission for a term expiring May 1st, 2026. And docket number 0215, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Sandra Steele as a member of the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission for a term expiring on May 1st, 2026. Docket number 0219, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Tan V. Nair as an alternate member of the Back Bay Architectural Conservation District Commission for a term expiring on December 31st, 2028. Docket number 0222, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Andy Chan Patera as an alternate member of the Back Bay Architectural Conservation District Commission for a term expiring December 31st, 2026. And docket number 0223, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Thomas High as a member of the Back Bay Architectural Conservation District Commission for a term expiring December 31st, 2023.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, those dockets that you read into the record, could you please poll the committee to ensure that they're properly before the body?
Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation, Councilor Baker.
Aye.
Councilor Worrell. Councilor Braden. Councilor Lara. And Councilor Flaherty. Majority.
Those dockets are now properly before the body. Councilor Baker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did want to try and have some hearings on these just so we can get an understanding of what the architectural commissions actually do. You've probably tried to look at the chamber. It's booked out for a couple of months. So there's some moving parts on both of these commissions here. So I want to just bring them forward to a vote and have them confirmed here today. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to express my thanks to Councilor Baker for moving these. They are the Back Bay Architectural Commission and the Beacon Hill Architectural Commission, and we have several members who are currently staying on because they're needed for quorum, but they're really ready to retire and roll off, and so they've been waiting on their replacements, and just really appreciate Councilor Baker for moving this forward. I also wanted to use the moment to say to anybody who might be interested, one of the nominees, Thomas High, is responsible for this website, backbayhouses.org, which has exhaustive history of every house in Back Bay. So if you are ever, if you're ever walking through the Back Bay and you wonder about a weird architectural feature, Tom has probably cataloged it. It's a really neat website, so backbayhouses.org. And thanks again to Councilor Baker for moving these.
Thank you, Councilor Bach, and I'm proud to work and represent Back Bay and Beacon Hill along with my esteemed councilor from the Bay Village. Councilor Baker, Mr. Clerk, we'll do one each docket individually. Yep. Councilor Baker moves for confirmation of docket 0213. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment has been confirmed for docket 0213. Councilor Baker moves for the confirmation of docket 0214. All those in favor say aye. 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 All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment has been confirmed for docket 0214. Councilor Baker moves for confirmation of docket 0215. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment has been confirmed for docket 0215. Councilor Baker moves for confirmation of docket 0219. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The appointment has been confirmed for docket 0219. Councilor Baker moves the confirmation of docket 0222. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment has been confirmed for docket 0222. Councilor Baker moves for the confirmation of docket 0223. All those in favor say aye. 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 All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment has been confirmed in docket 0223. We're on to the consent agenda. I have been informed by the clerk that there are no additions to the consent agenda. The chair moves to the adoption of the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. The consent agenda has been adopted. Memorials. Today we're going to adjourn. Before I go on to memorials, I would like to recognize Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, just under the auspice of announcements, just want to recognize our firefighters, Boston Fire Department, specifically our commissioner, his command staff, the men and women of the fire department, our firefighters and fire alarm operators who managed an endless stream of calls over a 48-hour period during the bitter cold, temperatures getting as low as minus 32 degrees. And so their dedication, their professionalism, that we as councilors, but also as residents of the city, can be very proud of. So I know that Sam Dillon, president of 718, and Randy Greeley, the legislative rep from 718, is here, and if he could just bring a message back to them from the Boston City Council and the city of Boston, that we're so proud and we're so thankful that you answered each and every call. And for those that are interested, just in a 48-hour period, 1,872 runs, unprecedented. They made history. And as soon as some engines came back, in ladder companies, they had to go right back out. And some were actually on the way back to their house and had to come back, dealing with fires, frozen pipes, people without heat, emergency situations, car accidents, you name it. They dealt with it over a 48-hour period, and they handled it, as I mentioned, with dedication and professionalism. So, round of applause from all of us from our fire department. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Before we go on to memorials, would anyone else like to offer a brief announcement at this time? The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
I just wanted to ask everyone to pray for the victims of the earthquake. I know that it's in countries abroad, but I know that everyone has seen the videos and pictures online, and just to pray for all the mothers, fathers, the family members of all the victims of the earthquake, and we have you in our prayers, and we wish you for a more prosperous or a better future.
Thank you, Councilor Fernandez Anderson. The chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In our closing remembrances, I'd like to hold up the name of David Gerald Foley. He proudly served his country in the United States Marine Corps and was a former worker for the Boston Water and Sewer Commission. And he resided in Brighton among his fellow veterans at Brighton Marine. David was a good friend, a loving father, son and brother, and it is an honour to offer a tribute to his life that had to end so soon. And in this moment, I also want to give a shout out and great appreciation for the work of the Brighton Marine, for all their great work to support our veterans through housing and a menu of really supportive services that help our veterans settle back into civilian life again. So thank you to Brighton Marine, and thanks and gratitude for the life of David Gerald Foley.
Thank you, Councilor Braden. The chair recognizes Councilor Bach. Councilor Bach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I just wanted to recognize Bill Mackey, who was a long-term member of my church, the father of a close friend who I grew up in youth group with, and for 40 years, a surgeon at Tufts Medical, led the department there as a really renowned vascular surgeon, but he was just an amazing man, and he used to lead regular medical trips down to Honduras, and just, was just one of those people who was extremely accomplished in his professional life and also just really warm and wonderful and brought a smile to everyone's face. And we lost him unexpectedly this week at age 72 from a heart attack just much too soon. And the whole, Mackey family is obviously grappling with this. And we had a really lovely memorial service for him yesterday at Trinity Church. But I just wanted to, his name will be on the list, but to mention that he's somebody who meant a lot to me in my growing, and just remembering him and thinking of his family this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bach. The chair recognizes Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to recognize Mary George, Mrs. George. She was Anissa Asabi George's mother-in-law from a pillar family in our parish at St. Margaret's. Steve the dad, coach CYO baseball, coach me in baseball, coach me in hockey, not hockey, basketball up the little house, and just, you know, we lost another strong matriarchal figure in Dorchester. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
Thanks, Mr. President. On a lighter note, my son is a U.S. Marine, and you guys all know that. He just made corporal in less than 3 years, so congratulations to him. You know, it's a big deal. I don't know how many of you, but if you don't know about it, go look it up. This does not happen often, and when it does, I am super proud. I can't salute him on here. Apparently, I haven't earned the rights to even do that, but hoorah, Mom is so proud of you. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Councilor Fernandez Anderson. That's great news. And you know, when a veteran serves, so doesn't the family. So we also acknowledge the important role military families play in our city and in our country. And I'd also like to acknowledge the work of the City of Boston Veterans Services Department, Commissioner Santiago, who does a wonderful job. I just wanted to highlight one issue. I'll do it very briefly. Had the opportunity to join several colleagues and Mayor Wu 2 days ago for the groundbreaking ceremony for the firehouse at Meeting House Hill, but that important work was really done by our colleague, Councilor Baker, fighting to get that in the budget, working with Mayor Walsh, working with Mayor Wu, but just want to acknowledge the important work of Councilor Baker. You're welcome. And then my final announcement is the President last night at the State of the Union address. It was great to hear, and I know Councilor Fernandez Anderson will share this as well, maybe all of my colleagues, but he talked a lot about returning veterans and making sure that they have the services and support that they need to live productive lives following a return from active duty service. We recently did the homeless count with Councilor Block and Mayor Wu, and one of the issues I worked on was the identifying the homeless veterans. But we're so fortunate to have a wonderful organization across the street, the New England Center for Homeless Veterans. So I want to say thank you to all of my colleagues that support our veterans and military families as well. Today we're going to adjourn our meeting in memory of the following individuals: Councilor Baker, Flaherty, Flynn and Murphy, Mary George, Jacqueline Downey Watts. For Councilor Braden, David Foley, United States Marine Corps. For Councilor Worrell, Fitzroy Lynch. For the entire City Council, Tyler Lawrence. A moment of silence, please. The chair moves that the council adjourns today in memory of those individuals mentioned. We are scheduled to meet again in the Ionella Chamber on Wednesday, February 15th at 12 noon. Before we adjourn, I want to say thank you to the clerk and the clerk's wonderful staff. I want to say thank you to the City Council Central staff. I want to say thank you to my City Council colleagues and your staff as well, and all of the city employees that make a difference here in helping us get ready for this Wednesday meeting. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. The council is adjourned.